And we're back. Kailas will be joining us momentarily. She's trying to compose herself. I do believe. So, guys, how you doing? Going good? Oh crap! You know what? I forgot that. There we go. Now you guys can say hi and talk and do all that stuff.
Hi.
Oh, fantastic! Wow,
Those are
that
important
was the
things.
super mute. I think Pentapod has to take like 2 drinks for that one.
No. That was not me muting me. That was just me muting you guys.
Muting
That's
us.
totally
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, that's
Uh,
like
that's not
doing it to the extreme.
That's
Hey,
the
welcome back.
That's the power of Tamlin. That's not a pulling of Tamlin. That's
The power. That's how I was about to. I decided not to say it, but I was going to say it. I was like, yeah, this is the "It's my show now" button.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know if you've watched our show a lot, but that's a cockpit over there.
Yeah,
He runs.
There's I mean, I've tweeted out pictures of it before, but I've got my 3 screens here, bam, 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 and then I have a 4th one up over here, and one behind me too. That's all connected. This is mission control.
Dude,
It's seriously mission.
I can pull a 6-way talk show on 11680 monitor.
And then I have the big red button.
Yep.
Nice. No, you have a really awesome setup. I have seen it before. It's a lot to work with.
It is a lot to work with.
All right.
The
just-
Pentapod says it's a drink.
That's a drink.
Can't argue with her, right?
I don't know. She's drinking lemon drop martinis, so she
See-
can drink whatever she wants.
And here I living dangerously. I get Pepsi.
Gross. Lemon water.
I'm living even more dangerously than you. I've got lime blossom tea.
That
I
sounds
love
good.
tea. That sounds really good, though.
Yeah, it's there's
where?
some company. I think it was Pompadour. It comes from Italy.
Yeah.
There's this one. I can't remember which market it is. It's somewhere in downtown LA where my brother gets it. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hit up Tivana tomorrow. I have 2 gift cards for Tivana, so I'm just stack up on all my tea for you.
I've never been to Tivana ever. I've never had their tea.
So good.
It's a flying meat beast.
What?
They did that for this past April
EQ.
Fools.
Yeah.
EQ2. They created a flying meat beast, and it was simply fantastic. And I missed it. I missed it by a day. I was like logged in. I was like, I'm gonna get it, and I missed it.
So
I just want to point out. Oh, sorry. 1 second. I just had the realization as I'm going through my head about what we had just talked about that my dad also watches the show and watched that whole segment.
that's funny.
So,
quick.
go ahead.
Well, Beckeltar. If I messed your name up, I apologize, but I'm gonna say Beckaltar. He's asking, what do you think about Pantheon after 2 failed crowdfunding attempts and Brad admitting he embezzled $45K and now is saying he's going to hire volunteer community devs and to still collect money from the community? That's a. We'll answer to the best of our ability, I guess.
What do I think?
I that's the first I've heard about the embezzling thing. Does anybody else heard about that? Maybe
I hadn't heard about that. I guess I feel bad that things have gone so poorly with it. Like I was thinking that it was going to do better. It seemed like it had a really big backing, but I guess backing isn't everything. You really have to have your project on lockdown, and maybe they just weren't able to utilize the resources properly up to this point. Now it's I don't know. I don't know any of the producers there. I haven't talked to any of them. I don't know. I haven't seen any interviews or anything. I don't know about the process, the production pipeline. If they feel like they overhired or underhired. If they're working people to the grindstone and paying people out time and a half, double time for no good. I honestly have no idea. It could be a total mess over there, or it could have been that they tried their very best but they just didn't have the resources. I absolutely don't know.
All I'm going to say is that if this is a subject you're interested in, go to rerolled.org, I think it is, and look at the thread about Pantheon there, or go to the official Pantheon forum or the Facebook Pantheon group and look at the conversations going on there. Because, I mean, I know a little bit about what's going on, but because I was a staff member over at Project Pantheon, I just feel incredibly uncomfortable speaking on it. Other than the information is out there, and if you're interested, I invite you to look at it to make your own judgment.
Yeah, Tamla would know best and would tell you better guide you than I would. I agree with Neuro. Like I don't have enough knowledge with Pantheon. Like I've said it on this podcast many times before. I never want to see a dream fail. I never want to see a podcast fail. If he did receive 45K, I mean that's kind of crappy that someone would do that, but I can't speak if like I'll look it up after the show and then I can kind of better educate myself. I don't want to give an answer like I don't want to just say like, well, he's a dick, but that I don't know that for sure. So I mean I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm just I don't want to. Okay, yeah. Alright,
so what I'm gonna try really hard not to like say a whole lot about it because I really don't want to get into it. I agree with Tanlin. Go over to Massively and read the article, and go over to Rerolled and read the thread. I briefly worked as a volunteer for the company myself, and that was kind of kept on the DL because I was asked to, because I was helping with marketing and whatnot. That I left after about a month, not because I was asked to, but because I just didn't. I didn't trust Pat McQuaid, and I had a couple of friends working for the company, and then Talon working with Pantheon in the forums.
Project Pantheon.
Thank you, Project Pantheon. And yeah, no, I don't personally want to get into it, honestly.
Now, I kind of want to juxtapose this with a different project, which I think is still doing pretty well, but unfortunately I haven't been following it as well to be able to speak on it. Does anybody really know what Shroud of the Avatar is doing, how well that's going? Because, Garrett, he's a freaking veteran, and he made a lot of what RPGs are today, through the Ultima series. So I wonder, how successful, not just in terms of financial backing and community backing, but just in general, how well the project is doing up to this point compared to, Pantheon or, even Next itself. Because, it seems like it had a lot of potential, and, it's something I might even try at some point, but I don't know if I'd actually get married to it. Some of the systems didn't rub me quite nicely.
Yeah, see, that was I mean, I can almost say that the first video game on a PC, not like my console, my Nintendo, but on a PC, the first game that I ever got into was Ultima 3 and then Ultima 4, and I played that was when Kailes was making fun of me because I would take notes while I was playing the game, because that's how I learned how to play the game. Is like there wasn't a quest. This person would give you a clue and you wrote down the clue, and then you move on to the next thing. So that said, I really don't know much about Shroud of the Avatar, like how it's doing. I do know that there was a period of time where a lot of MMOs like kickstarted themselves, and it was like Pathfinder Online, Shroud of the Avatar, Camelot Unchained, which was the sequel to Dark Age of Camelot, and even Star Citizen, and they all, I haven't heard so much coming out of them, but I think that means that they're well on their way of development. I know that the Pathfinder Online game developers had a panel at Game Developers the Game Developers
GDC.
Conference, GDC, easy way to say it, GDC. And so, if you're out there in the public talking about their game, that usually means that they feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I think some folks at GDC might get invites, but I'm pretty sure most of GDC you have to pay for the booth. So if you're in a position where you can be paying to have a booth at GDC or E3 or PAX or any of those, you're probably in a decent position, or at least, someone at the company thinks you are and is going to allocate the resources for it. But, indie game company Cellar Door Games, they were at PAX this year. They're the ones behind Rogue Legacy. They've got some other stuff coming along. And they're a small company. But they have the resources, and they're doing really well. Actually, that's another thing. Like indie games in general, a lot of what makes them is their community. Starbound, it's not a AAA title, but it was hugely successful and leapt way ahead of a contemporary competitor, Edge of Space, because it was able to capture the community and keep their interest. They're both really good games, though I will say Edge of Space is a lot rougher in this current state compared to where Starbound was at. Kind of when it started getting popular. But go ahead.
I just reminded me of something that I recently read about Pathfinder Online, and that there are some systems in Pathfinder Online that I'm really I'm curious on how they turn out, because they appeal to one of the things that I love the most about EVE Online, and that is I want to have a player-owned and controlled section of the world that they have to defend against other player characters, and Pathfinder is promising to deliver that. And I read recently that they selected a couple of guilds that are going to launch way before that the game launches, and these players are going to be the first ones to grab that territory, and then they're getting ready to select their second rounds of guilds to go into that world. And I think that, again, I'm looking forward to that, because even like EVE Online, like even if I'm not playing the game, I read about the huge battles and the backstabbing and the all of the subterfuge and intrigue that goes on in EVE Online, simply because I'm fascinated by it. I love reading about it. So even if I'm not playing, I'm still going to keep up on it.
Yeah, I agree, and I say this from a tabletop gamer, like, just because I play Pathfinder and I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I play a little more Pathfinder than I do D&D at this point. I like that they're staying true to the Pathfinder. I don't want to say lore, but like the way the Pathfinder plays as a game, they're trying to bring that feel to the art style to the MMO world. Like their goblins are the same, like the goblins you see in Pathfinder Online are the same goblins. You open up the player handbook and you flip to the page, you see a picture of a goblin, same thing. So the art style is there, and it gives me hope, because I'm a tabletop nerd to all like all up in respect. Like if Tobin lived here, he'd be my DM, right? Because he loves the DM, so I'm not gonna lie about that.
Hey, maybe we should get a Skype group going, huh? What do you think?
Oh my! Have you seen was it hold on? There is a website that allows you to like kind of
roll 20.
Roll 20.
Because again, like I tell people that part of the reason why I'm involved in a podcast like this is because I moved my family to the middle of the desert. There's nothing out here. There's no gamers, and so, and again, I'm going to bring this back to the community, because this is actually on point in that. One of the things that I learned about trying to role play like a tabletop game over Skype on Roll20.net, one of the things that I learned, it wasn't just that I was role playing. It was I looked forward to my Monday night vampire game that I played on a tabletop setting for like 2 years, not just because it was me role playing, but because they were my friends and I loved hanging out with them. And it was like a cheap night out where I felt like good about myself because I'm hanging out with my friends, we're BSing, we're having a good time, we're telling stories, and hey, we're also got this role-playing thing going on. And yeah, again, that's just like I've mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's not about the game that I'm playing, it's about who I'm playing it with.
One other advantage to playing online that you don't get when you're in person, you can see people passing notes back and forth with the DM in person, and random rolls that you have no context to going on. That doesn't happen when you're playing online. Even if you can see them rolling, you don't know who sent what message and what's transpiring. So when a thief hands a note to the DM, check your possessions because you
He
might
just
have
might-
just had something.
He just might have made his pickpocket roll.
Exactly. Or if it's a paladin, make sure that he's not trying to do some shisty, stupid good guy thing that's going to wreck the entire deal.
Real quick, because I know we're in after I can go a little off topic. Has anyone here seen the Gamers movies at all? Oh, please.
Are you talking role models?
No. They're it's the Gamers 2, Darkness Rising, and they had just had their last movie come out, Gamers Hands of Fate, which is about tabletop card gaming. They are
I have
fantastic movies. Like they make great jokes, and they're very humbling to watch because it's like they don't make fun of tabletop gamers where they kind of just like look at the same like if you've ever had any tabletop like experiences, like they go over those like same tropes, like the arguments and like kind of Kai Les would love the second movie just because they have a girl gamer and she's like they make the point to give her chainmail bikini armor and she argues like why would my character wear that? Like it's fantastic.
I was thinking of Knights of Badassdom.
I haven't seen that yet. I want to.
Yeah, see, I was thinking more of the LARPers because I think that like role models and Lords of Badassdom, like role models made me roll on the ground laughing. It was so funny because we've all been kind of in that position, right?
Yeah. Kiss My Anthea.
Greatest scene in there.
That movie is amazing. I love that movie so much. I mean, seriously, like it sort of reminds me of our old SCA days. And I almost miss those.
I miss them. I don't know.
I hate the drama. Oh my god. People can be such drama queens.
And going, no,
It's built into it.
Right, well, right, because of the theatrics. No, the thing about the SCA that was kind of a turnoff for me was the fact that I love camping. I'm okay with camping. I'm okay with camping where you go to your campground, you spend like 15 minutes and your tent's up. And I burnt myself out because my entire childhood going camping involved putting up a pavilion that took like 5 or 6 people like 3 hours to put up. And if it rained on you, putting that wet canvas away is like, you know what? I will go to an SCA event when I can like camp in my trailer or go to a hotel because I love camping. I love the SCA, but too much period is too much period.
It's so funny because like that's like I don't necessarily want to have to put the tent up, but I'm sorry, that's like one of the best things about camping is freaking tent camping and fire pits and drunk people singing around a campfire. It's a lot of fun for me. I mean, if they're not like stumbling dumb drunk, it's pretty great.
But they are.
No, not all of them.
Not all of them?
No.
Maybe it's just the ones in SoCal.
We haven't gone to an event in SoCal.
I've heard
so
things.
I can't speak.
I have.
I have not gone to.
But this was in the it was late 90s, early aughts, or whatever you want to call it, when I was a Marine living in San Diego. I think I went to a couple of SCA events, but I was more involved in the vampire live action role play community back at that time, and I knew a whole lot more. As a matter of fact, that's how I know some of the people that are now working at arena.net.
See, so all of my like SCA / Vampire the Masquerade experience comes from events in Oregon and Washington State. So, yeah. I haven't really done anything SoCal, like the city that we live in, and I'm not going to name it because, oh my God, I don't care if you know where I live. It's just really, this is terrible. They have a Ren Fair once a year. Oh my God, we were super excited and we went and we were thinking, oh, maybe we'll like dress up or something. And no, we got there and it was awful. Awful.
Unfortunately, it was. So,
I was about to say.
oh, go ahead.
Real
I was
quick.
gonna ask more about like how were I know that Kai can talk a little bit about this, but one of the thoughts that we had, or well, this legendary Neuro, one of the thoughts he had was, how do communities endure after that the game that they formed around goes away? Because I know that the Vanguard players, they've contacted me. I'm part of at least one website, where they're staying together because they want to move forward together. But I didn't play Galaxy, so I didn't see that happening. But have you guys ever been part of a community that kind of fell apart for whatever reason? The game stopped.
Okay, so where my legendary neurotoxin comes from, where both the legendary and the neurotoxin comes from, actually, was a first-person shooter called Legends of Might and Magic. Remember Might and Magic? Remember 3DO? That was the last game they put out before they went under. They were banking on, I think, just the awesome website for Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse to get the funding and the exposure to hopefully stay afloat. It didn't work, so unfortunately, 6 months after their 8v8 fantasy Counter-Strike clone on the Lithtech engine with terrible netcode was released, they went under, and it became 100% player supported from that point on. So we actually took it and grew with it. A lot of people dropped off, but a lot of people stayed around. The first 3D maps for any game I ever made was for that game, using the de-edit tools 2.1, which was also normally used for the No One Lives Forever 2 tool set. So I could also make levels for that, but I didn't really. So that's basically where we stayed around for that for a while, and I still keep in contact with a lot of those folks. One of them, I've been playing PlanetSide 1, PlanetSide 2. He's now in Landmark. If you see someone named Ohio, that's my good buddy. Say what's up. And that's, I guess that'd be another community to bring up. PlanetSide 1, a lot of us actually, when World of Warcraft came along, a lot of us actually hopped in on it. And we had a lot of fun with it, but it kind of fractured our community in a lot of ways, both at that moment and then we had a couple of incidents with PlanetSide 1 where leadership had been given to somebody who probably shouldn't have had it, and they freaked a bunch of people. And then a second instance happened where another leadership issue and a bunch of people left and people were kicked out. But regardless of that, these many years later, the Raging Primates are still together, from PlanetSide 1, and we still we're still slowly growing, and a lot of people are coming back and coming through every now and then. As PlanetSide 2 keeps getting better, a lot more people keep coming back and playing a little bit more. So, I mean, PlanetSide 1 is still around, but it more or less got hit by the WoW bat, just like so many other MMOs of the time. So with both of those, it's really the desire to keep associating with these people. It's, every individual person in the community, it's their effort that keeps the community together. If, it's a community where you don't really care that much for most of the other people, you might keep in contact with a few of the people, but, otherwise leave the group. But it's really a matter of everyone kind of being engaged with everybody, and, at a moment or at some point in time, it goes beyond just the avatar and the screen name and actually getting to know the people themselves. So that's really what helps to build a good solid community, is actually getting to know the people. Raging Primates, we had a big old barbecue. We had a second one apparently this year. I wasn't able to get to it, but they had it up in Washington because we have a lot of our folks up there. With Legends of Might and Magic, we didn't really have that same sort of thing, but for us, what kept us together was that we were constantly campaigning to see if we could get the opportunity to get the source code from either 3DO or later Ubisoft, who had purchased it, and we tried and tried and tried. We could never get that source code, so we could never go back in, fix all the bugs, and improve the netcode. At this point, it's a completely abandoned game. If I was going to try to do anything more with it, I'd just try to rebuild it in Landmark, and when they have the tools to make our own, in-game content, just try to rebuild it there as best as possible.
There is one community that I was part of that I have left, and they're the big world PvP community that I think I've mentioned a couple of times on the show, and that's the whole prospect of what is possible with Landmark, not at the moment, but in the future. I don't understand why they haven't been talking about that more, because I mean, they're very creative people. They're a very tight community. They know what they like, and I don't understand like why they aren't going crazy, because these are some of the things that they've sort of been asking for in games that are incapable of providing it. As like World PvP and WoW, it has a severe limitation, and once you hit that point, it's like I'm not even going to call it a limitation. It's going to be that it occurs in a set way every single time. You have Battlegrounds and World PvP, it's always the same way, always the same time. And don't you want something a little bit more original than that? Then come and look at Landmark and build something, create your own world with your own PvP objectives and make real permanent change in the landscape that you're playing in. And I am totally excited for them for that, but I don't know, they just haven't been jumping on board as much as I thought that they would be.
I think a lot of what's promised and what we're hoping for with Landmark and what we have right now, it's definitely incongruent. Like I can envision, not necessarily end game for Landmark, but what it's going to be when it's at live launch, and that is an awesome, awesome, awesome game of which we still have, a very limited set of the features at a, limited level of implementation. The building stuff is pretty good, and that's going to continue getting better. But the actual economy of the game, like people actually doing serious large amounts of trading for high quality items and such, that part's going to be a long ways out. Likewise, we're not going to see combat for a while. That means not just player versus player, player versus environment, but then player versus set up environments, set up encounters that people have done on their own claims. And that's going to be the real big thing, and that's going to be the thing I think that will not only kind of be the final thing to draw the community in, but it's going to be the thing that's going to continue building and retaining the Landmark community over time, is the ability to create unique content and for people to have this access to a free-to-play game where the rules are plus or minus the same everywhere in the world, but all of the encounters, all of the content, how it's organized, who they're doing it with, what the rewards are, is diversely different, and it's all made by players.
Yeah, and from my perspective, as a PvPer, someone brought up that we, without knowing what PvP and Landmark or EQNext is going to be like, it's a little hard to judge. And I know that particular group, and I see PvP as many different ways, but that particular group, for them, because they're RP PvPers, which means that sometimes the story driving them to fight is way more important than actually, pressing the buttons to do abilities or anything like that. And win or lose, like, they're okay with it because that's the way the story went in that particular encounter. So you talked a little bit about the community that you were part of, something primates?
Raging Primates, yeah.
Raging Primates. Flatus, Kailas, do you guys have a community that has... what has happened with your community if you've seen, the game shut down, a guild leader or a very influential person leaves the game? How has that gone for you?
World of Warcraft is so much better now that my old guild leader is gone and she doesn't make me cry anymore.
Jeez.
I am not even remotely kidding. She was so brutally mean that she would yell at me and vent to the point that I cried. And that was a long time ago when I first started playing. And instead of telling her to stick it, and instead of just walking away, I sat there and I took it.
I ran a guild. I ran a couple guilds over in WoW, so it's... I stopped playing WoW, but at the time, my guild was kind of on its way out anyway. A lot of people had stopped playing, and like the people that left, I just kind of was honest with them, like I'm out too. So it wasn't that like it kind of fell apart, but I'm still friends with a lot of those people. One of them streams on Twitch, and her and I both reconnected that way, and we support each other like streaming wise that way. She streams a lot of old school like PlayStation RPGs and stuff like that, and which is really cool. But then, but that led me to this and and I love communities. Like that's like, and I said this, like I love being a part of a giant community, and that led to the Helsing Army, which now exists and lives on EverQuest 2 on Crushbone. And it started out as a joke and ended up being real, and I pushed it to be the real thing, and it is a real thing now. And we have people from the community that like are there on EverQuest every single day, leveling, pushing, and we've already made plans to hit H1Z1, and we've had people talk to other guilds that are going to come in, other groups that are going to come into H1Z1, and they want to group up with us. Like they may not be in like a part of Helsing Army, but they want to like create like parallel factions with us, and that way we're like we could work together. So if there is like a stronger foe out in the H1Z1 world, look out! I'm just saying, look out! You better watch out. So, I mean, as community, like I don't want to go on another rant because the last show right? I went off the rails and did a big community rant. And if you didn't see that, I would go watch that because it's about a good 10-minute long rant about how I felt about how MMOs kind of went from places where we needed the community, where we broke away from that and through shortcuts and things that games created. And I know Tamlin got something to say, so before I go rant again, I'll let Tamlin speak his mind.
No, I just remember because again, Vanguard was my first MMO, and I played that with real coworkers that became real life friends. And unfortunately, the way that Vanguard launched, and then right after Vanguard launched, like 3 months later is when Lord of the Rings Online launched. And we lost half of the people that we were playing with to Lord of the Rings, including some of the people that, my friends and my coworkers. And I tried playing Lord of the Rings a little bit, and it wasn't the game for me. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed playing Vanguard. And this is where I found out that I love crafting things, because I couldn't adventure by myself, but you could craft by yourself. And in the 3 or 4 months that they left Vanguard to go play Lord of the Rings, that's when I became like one of the highest leveled crafters on my server. And I did faction grinding that no one else did in my profession, and built houses and things that no one else could do.
That man had spreadsheets for days.
I still do. She makes fun of me because I keep spreadsheets on characters and stuff like that. But it's but had them not leaving the game happened, I would not have discovered this other facet of the game. And I've always done that in any game that I've played. Like, okay, well, I can't do this facet of the game. Well, what other facets are available? And I check those out. And unfortunately, it's caused me to bounce around a lot. It's like and I'm going into EverQuest next, and EverQuest Landmark a completely different mindset for the most part. Like I try to define like what I want to do before I just like log in and play. Maybe, that's the wrong way to, maybe I should just log in and have fun. But when a person like me comes home from a day with work, I kind of want to know what I'm doing so that I know what that fun will be. And like, I have some real life friends back home in Seattle that they're playing Warcraft for like the first time, and they're like, "Hey, come play with us." And I'm like, "All right, fine for you guys, because not the content. I've seen it all before. It's kind of repetitive. But for you guys, I will do it." And that's why I'm, it's my Monday night thing. And again, but I'm hoping that I can, because they went from EverQuest 2 to Warcraft because they're in their initial forming impressions about MMOs stage. Like they played EQ2 for a couple of months. Now they're playing Warcraft for a little while. I'm hoping that, eventually I'll be able to be like, well, there's H1Z1 and it's free and you get to build things. And then there's, leading into EverQuest Next, because I'd like to get a lot of my real life friends and a lot of my, the people that I'm meeting doing the show together and meeting at SOE Live together. I would like to get us all together and like do something.
Not gonna be playing H1Z1. Nope.
But the rain was so pretty. I showed you the video and you said, wow.
The rain was amazing, and
the rain
it was
at night,
really nice, and it looked amazing, and it sounded amazing, and the reflection was absolutely realistic and stunning, and the Jeep was badass. But
I gotta give Kyla's credit. I gotta give, like, I don't know if she's like, because I've played PlanetSide 2 with her. And as a group, we've played PlanetSide 2, and she's not a big fan of shooters, per se, and I could be wrong, but I remember her saying she wasn't really a big fan of the shooters. But she likes the Vanu. but
I like Tavanu, yeah.
Yeah. But I gotta give her credit, like, she may not like shooters, but she's legit, like, she can hold her own, like, in a first-person shooter. Like, I gotta give her credit. Like, she
can hold her own in any game that she plays.
Like, I gotta give her, I really do have to give her a lot of credit. Like she's the real deal Holyfield. She throws just in bunches. Like, she's
I think that, you know what?
So let me just say that in real life, I grew up around guns.
That's even better.
Seriously, I have been shooting guns in real life since I was 3 or 4 years old. I can take it apart, clean it, and put it back together again, and I know how to reload my own ammo in a very zombie apocalypse survival sort of way. So, yeah.
Listen, I know where I'm heading during the zombie apocalypse. I'm making my way out to the desert.
Yeah, six. My husband, my dear, sweet, wonderful husband. Oh my God,
does he have like a smit full of ammo?
No,
I'm the gun aficionado in the house. I'm the one that owns guns, and I'm the one that has ammo. I'm not even kidding. They are my guns. They are my ammo. Not his, but he built a 6-foot-tall cinder block concrete-filled fence to keep the zombies out.
I love you guys. You're my OTP. You're my one true pairing. You guys are perfect.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like one of the things that when you know that
one
you're
true pairing.
When you're a total like geek, nerd, dork, whatever, it's like as we're buying the house and we're thinking like, what if there was a zombie apocalypse, how could we defend the house against, and so like that was one of the things is like, okay, well, I need to wall off this side of the house with some concrete and this side of the house with some concrete. Yeah.
It was actually a real life conversation. It was a real serious consideration when we were purchasing the house. And the other thing that he's promised me that he has not delivered on is the tower.
The tower.
So we purchased the lot that our house is on, and then the lot that's directly beside it happened to be empty and included in the sale of the house. So instead of having like the 1/4 acre lot that our house is on, we have a 1/2 acre lot total. Or is it's either a 1/4 acre total or a 1/2 acre total. I don't remember. But he promised a tower in the lot next to us so I could shoot flaming arrows at things from the top of my tower. And the bow that I have been making is in the garage.
Why am I living in Florida?
That is awesome.
I need to go set up a shanty shack in the empty lot next to your house and just live out there.
No, I could start a rant. I think Legendary was in chat when we were talking a little bit about like why I'm like the anti-science zombie, and because it's like I understand enough about biology to what's living, what's dead, how do things move, the energy and everything like that. And but it's also pretty funny. But at the same time, I'm like zombies, science. Psh, and then on the other hand, I'm like, living out here in the desert isn't so bad because from you get up above the house level, you can see horizon to horizon. If they ever come, one bolt action rifle, they'll never get near the house.
Well, and I just so happen to have one bolt action 22 rifle.
I mean, science wise, chemically, there may not be we don't know yet. We haven't created everything yet, but leave it to man. But there are certain fungi that do take over insects and make them zombies, technically. There's always that possibility.
Got a valid point.
Maybe.
There was a whole video game based off called The Last of Us for PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought it was like super prions or something.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Well, we can go way off topic.
I don't want to go that far off topic.
We are so totally digressing, are we not?
We are digressing. Back on topic.
Well, hey, I just want to say that I think that the communities that are going to form around H1Z1, that's going to be big. I'm looking forward to it. I think that the zombie...
They're going to be crazy.
I think SO, and I will say this, as SOE further as a community, I think, or as a company, I think that they're setting themselves up to be a heavy hitter, back in the seat of a heavy contender. Not to say they weren't this whole time. It's just, Blizzard, like I've said, and I said last, I would love to be on the ground floor of a company that creates an MMO that kind of, maybe not knocks WoW off the throne, but does something so sets in motion the next MMO that kind of sets the groundwork for every other, I don't want to say every other MMO, but kind of sets the groundwork where everybody's like, damn, that's good. They did a great job. That is so, it's original. They kept it fresh and original, and they did a great job. And I think, I'm just saying, I'd like to see that.
I also want to say that since I've been doing the podcast, something that I've noticed in that we as gamers all consider ourselves part of a community. I didn't realize that game developers were so close to one another because, Omid, he was doing his Hearthstone stream. Okay, he's streaming a Blizzard game. Without any, he doesn't even have to justify it. It's like, hey, I like the game. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it on the weekends, and I'm going to stream it and talk about it. And the developer for the game, for Hearthstone, is one of his old friends and pops into the stream. It's like, hey.
Well, he also worked on it.
Did he work on it?
Yeah, back when he was at, what was it, Upper Decker, Top Deck, Upper Deck?
No, he was
the card company.
He was at
Wizards of the Coast.
It was something dealing with the other company, I believe. He was definitely Wizards of the Coast for the longest time, but I think it was through somebody else that he was actually dealing with Hearthstone. But yeah, he definitely had put his hands on there at some point. So yeah, it's definitely valid for him to be working on it.
Yeah, and I again, that was just bringing to my point is that when we see game companies, they are all businesses and they are all competing for the same, slice of the gamer pie, but at the same time, it's not as cutthroat as that I thought that it would be. They seem to really get along with one another and talk to you. The guy, one of the developers for Jimmy Wisenhunt is one of the developers for H1Z1, and he does casting for competitive FPS shooting. Holinka is the lead PvP developer for WoW, and he tweets about all these other types of games that he's playing. And I think that's really cool. And I think that we, as a community, can take a lesson from it and not be so divisive about it. It's like, oh, you play that game, I can't talk to you. It's like, oh, cool. Tell me about it. Why do you play that game?
I just had that happen recently. I was in, and not Tobrin. I'm not picking on Tobrin, but I was in Tobrin's Mumble for his guild, the fraternity, and the guys in there, all great guys, but they were talking about Bungie's new game. Forgot the name of it. Somebody in chat, if you know Bungie's new game, you send it to me right now.
Was that Destiny?
Destiny. There you go. They were really upset that the first iteration of Destiny is not coming to PC, and I was explaining to them that Bungie as a company was already developing Destiny for a console-based game. They have plans to make a Destiny title on PC and have it interconnect with the world. I told them not to worry, and they're like, well, PC master race, why play console ever? And I kind of said, well, I own a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360. I own those consoles. I have them and I play them. They said, why? If you have, I own a lot of games on my I have 312 games on my Steam account. I own a lot of games, and I will play, if I have the choice of playing on my PC, I will play on my PC. But when I don't have the choice of playing on my PC, then I will choose the console that it comes on if I need to. And there is no difference to me as a gamer. There is no, as long as the game is good, the story's fantastic, and the game quality's there, I will play it to the best of my ability and have fun playing it. And I think that's why. I think that's what really. I think that's something we could all get behind. Really, like, I don't think anybody should be, cast aside because they choose to play on PC and console or just console. If you're here and listen, trust me, if EverQuest Next is going to be your first MMO, and you're going to build a PC for that, and you've played console your whole life, and it's something you're going to jump into because you were interested in Landmark and everything, or if you're going to wait for them to come out on the console for the PlayStation 4, if that happens, we don't know for sure if that will, but it may. You never know. If that does happen, you have that option, and I think that's great. I think that's there's nothing wrong with a console. There's nothing wrong with. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here to play games, right? Like, does it matter if I play with this mouse or and a keyboard versus a controller?
Okay. The controller keyboard mouse thing is it's something that it's just a weird it's an interface sort of thing because
it's an interface, but I'm just I mean my point being like even though listen, I know some games are better played sometimes with this. Some certain games are just like third person games. I'm gonna lie, a little bit better with this. Certain ones, not all of them, certain ones. But Bungie promised the Linux ISO for Halo, then signed. Yeah, I mean, what do you? Companies come at the end of the day. Company's a company. Can't. Yeah, I don't make choices what Bungie makes choices for, but I'm just saying. My point being. Let's see. Refar says real quick. Refar says fanboys destroy communities. Not necessarily true.
Fanboys also build community.
Yeah.
Fanboys also build communities.
It's toxic people, whether they're fanboys or just new to the community. They're the ones who would try to destroy it. They're the ones who are... And now I'm not talking about trolls. Trolls and people who are truly toxic are different. Trolls are people that, while they want the game to be better and they want certain things and they're genuinely, enjoying the game, or there's something that they want to have that'll make them enjoy it more, they have a problem with communicating and they don't really know to tone things down and pull things back, because the developers who are developing the games don't want to hear an angry rant. They want to hear constructive, well designed arguments and potentially visual stuff to accommodate it. So that's a troll. Is somebody who they want the game to be better, but they can't communicate it very well. Versus somebody who's toxic is someone who they only continue to be a part of the community to try to bring it down. They probably don't even play anymore. They maybe play up to an hour, and even then they're just doing that to keep up to date on all the issues in the game. So they have more to fuel their arguments and why they're so angry about everything and why everyone needs to stop playing the game or whatever. So, two completely different elements. Trolls are actually useful in the community. Sometimes they can communicate things that are worthwhile, but it's more a matter of trying to help get them to communicate in a more proper way so that they can be a worthwhile contributor to the community, because there are a lot of times really active people. But it's the truly toxic elements. It's just a matter of trying to kind of weed them out and stop paying attention to them when they've been identified and they're proven beyond redemption.
Listen, if you want, I will say this maybe as a piece of life advice too. If somebody constantly is giving you bull crap, ignore them. Like, you don't have to listen to people. You don't choose. If you choose to acknowledge that person, that gives them power. At the end of the day, it always gives them power. But you don't have to give that person power. Like you can choose to walk away. If you choose to feed that person, they're going to. That's what they want. Walk away from them. And then on top of it, give yourself knowledge. I mean, go and if you're on Twitter, go and ask the developer the question. They may be able to answer it. Give yourself the knowledge. The knowledge is always at your fingertips with these games and these communities. And there's people out here. We can answer questions to the best of our ability. This goes for Neuro as well, and SOE will answer their questions to the best of their ability under NDA and everything. Like, the best weapon for anything is knowledge. And if you give yourself the ability, like, load up on your ammo. Knowledge, exactly. Knowledge is power. And don't feed the not the trolls, but don't feed the toxic people, the people that want to bring down the fun for everybody else. Because if you start feeding them, then it ruins the community for everyone else, because they'll just get more powerful that way. If you ignore them and have fun with your friends, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, that's why these days when I'm playing a game, I concentrate more on who I'm playing with rather than the game I'm playing, because I know that if I'm hanging out with my boys or my girl or whatever, I know that, I will die 15 times in the same dungeon trying to get past some stupid mechanic, and log off at the end of the night and still say, hey, I had fun that night because I was hanging out with my friends, versus like making sure that, this is the most badass, game that's currently on the market, it's cutting edge, it has all these features, like, whatever. Like, give me my friends. Like, are my friends playing it? That's what I want. And that's, that's where communities start to be built, is between like groups of friends, and then groups of friends build with other groups of friends. And yeah, I don't have any patience for negativity in gaming anymore. It's like, this is what I do for fun, because I find it more entertaining than watching a television show, because at least it's interactive. But at the same time, like, I can turn it off just like a television show and just tune everything out but what I'm wanting to do.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. You could just you just play the game with, like, I log in to EQ2 with Helsing Army, and I play with all the people that we have over there. All 8 of us now, I think we're at 8, which isn't like, it's a small number, but I will keep pushing. It's 8 people that I log into that are sitting on my TeamSpeak when I'm available.
Right.
That chat and listen. We were cracking up for like 3 hours, dying in dungeons. We
going into experience point debt on a double experience weekend.
We owe SOE money. We owe SOE XP. I have to make that up to them. So that's the point. It's just to have fun, right? Like, this is why we did this episode, is just to kind of say, like, at the end of the day, we can argue about conventions, we can argue about which community is better or which one's worse, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because every community, be it a Blizzard, be it an SOE, be it a Tryon, be it a Xbox, a PlayStation, a Nintendo, a camping, anything we've mentioned on tonight's show, and any gaming community you're a part of, if you're into anime and Pokemon, and that's the community you want to be a part of, then be a part of that community and love and respect and put your heart into it, because you will make lifelong friends that you never knew you would ever make, and you'll have memories for all the stuff that you guys do from here on out. And so,
all right, well, we're about to wrap it up. We're at our 2-hour mark. Kai, do you have any final thoughts? You've been kind of quiet for the last 5-10 minutes. What are your last thoughts before we wrap up our community show?
So I just want to say that I think that my favorite community that sort of transcends a specific game has been the community that's surrounded the EverCast show, and that I love and appreciate every single one of you for your support through our good episodes, through our bad episodes, through a few arguments, through a few rants. And that I think it's great that you guys are still here and we keep doing it, even if there was only one of you. But I think you're my favorite community.
I'll go next, and I will speak, because Chewy said that I need to be the center of the universe. I think Chewy would agree with me that we are both, and everyone here, and I'll include Cal with this too. We're super grateful that you guys show up every other Sunday and hang out with us for 2 hours, knowing that you, and even the East Coast people, because I know it's 12 o'clock right now, and you guys are just like, you stay up. And you stay up, and you may have work in the morning.
And you may be missing Game of Thrones.
But yeah, some of you may I know Game of Thrones goes on at 9, but the East Coast, the West Coast people will miss Game of Thrones watching this.
There's somebody watching from New Zealand right now.
Really? What? New Zealand represent? So, like, you know, yeah. See, look, listen. If you're clothed, frontal hugs. If you're not clothed, sideways hugs. and we really appreciate it. I really do. Like, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really do appreciate it. Like, I never thought, like, I say this all the time to even to our guests that come on the show. Like, I'm just a dummy with a microphone, and you guys still show up every 2 weeks to have to hear my opinion about communities and gaming. And I seriously, I'm just a dummy with a mic.
Right, and one thought on that. We are looking for ways to help bring the community onto the show, and that always means that you are welcome to email us, tweet us, you know, what specific questions you have. If you have an idea of something that we can talk about, we want to hear from you. We had something in place that we wanted to do for this show to make it more interactive, like to the next level. But again, we're all teaching ourselves how to do this on the fly, like as we're going, and you can see I mute myself all the time, so it's baby steps. We'll get there, and we want to bring you on board with us. So with that said, final words. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to turn it over to Legendary Neurotoxin before we end the show.
Yeah, it was great being on here with you folks, and I see Chewy's coming around here. Don't click the link there. Find Chewy.com. You don't want to know where that leads to. It's actually not even in English. That's a link. It's in a completely different language. I don't know. It just happens to read as Find Chewina, so it's weird. I don't know, but you know, you folks are great. It's been really, really a lot of fun doing the show here, and just. One of the things that really got me broadcasting to begin with, not only doing the the other show that I was on, but all the documents that I had been writing, it got to a point where it's like, damn, I could keep writing 50K documents every week, 50K characters, or I could just live feature rant it out and say what I have to say, and live feature rant sprung up from that. So now I'm taking guests on the show now, and it's been totally awesome. So. Yeah, in fact, I had Flatus and Chewy on the show.
I would love
to have both of you on.
But they do the live. I get off work at 4:00, right when they start live streaming, and I have. I'm not going to sit at work to watch the show. I love SOE, but I don't love them that much when I can just, it's like one of my Saturday morning routines. It's like I wake up on Saturday morning and I go to YouTube and I watch the live stream.
It's Saturday morning cartoons for Tamlin.
It totally
He sits down and he has his cup of coffee as well as cereal, and he totally watches the SOE live cast.
They still they get nice. Thousands of hits on that. Like, listen, not everybody can watch it, but they still get thousands of hits on that YouTube channel, so they're fine. They're doing okay.
But
Legend, real quick, you want to throw out where everybody can find you one more time?
Oh yeah. Let me. I'll paste it here in chat one more time. You can find me at twitch.tv/legendary neurotoxin. You can find me at Legendary Neuro on Twitter, and then the other place you can find me, which I didn't list there, was YouTube /Legendary Neurotoxin, as I've started putting the videos on there too. So you can find me there, and of course I do plenty of shows during the week on my channel. Procedural Powerhouses on Saturdays. Just had Robot Loves Kitty on. Before that I had Edge of Space, the developer, on. The live feature rant, dead feature rants, the H1Z1 show, that's 5 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays, and Castles and Crab Shacks, of course, which I did before the show here. So every Sunday tune in for Castles and Crab Shacks, and every other week I'll be usually hanging out in chat or otherwise here on the EverCast show.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
He's gonna thumbs and lots of pies.
So somebody says they want to see Domo and Flatus combine their beards. Oh boy.
Oh God, no.
Oh jeez. Why?
That's worse than naked touching.
Should I grow? I started.
No.
I will
started-
rustle a man's
No?
beard with my beard. Listen, I'm very picky. That's like that. Like hugging with the one thing. Brustling a beard. That's a special bond between two men. You can't just brustle any man's beard. That's a respect thing.
That's like touching a woman's hair without her permission.
Yeah.
And let me tell you. I've actually had people do it, and it angers me.
I'm pretty sure there was like a couple women just thought about two men rubbing beards together right now. They're just like, wait a minute, what?
I didn't until you brought it up. Okay.
We're gonna cap it up.
Yeah,
All right.
Uro, please do
I
us the honor.
got Cappy in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.